taught that as women, you can be like a boss babe and you can be assertive, but don't be a bitch. Like, do not be a bitch. You can be sexy, of course, and like sultry and sensual, but don't be like a slutty like girl. Ugh, nobody wants that. Or you can have like a deep longing and desire of your heart, but don't be needy. Don't be desperate. And I did this embodiment work around what would it look like for me to fully try on being needy and desperate and like slutty and like a raging bitch, like a crazy bitch. What would that look like if I just let myself have that expression? Oh my God, Lee, it was so freeing just to try those things on and be like, I'm okay. I didn't die. I'm allowed to like have this full range, again, this full spectrum of human emotion and experience, and that's okay.
Welcome to the 1000 Days Sober podcast. My name is Davy. I am not an alcoholic. I refuse to be anonymous. I am someone who lives a self-led life, alcohol-free as fuck, and I spend every waking moment of that life helping other people do the same, like right now. Have you ever wondered why you keep ending up in the same relationship over and over again? Only the faces are different. Or why your intimacy feels shallow, your anger goes unexpressed, or your truth never really makes it out of your mouth. Well, today's conversation is a fierce reckoning with all of that. Megan Thoma is not here to help you become better at dating. She's here to help you stop performing in love altogether. A certified master coach, writer, and podcast host, Megan helps women break out of the people-pleasing trance, stop outsourcing their worth, and finally let themselves be seen fully, wildly, and vulnerably. In this episode, we talk about everything from the real reason your 7-month relationship suddenly feels wrong, to why you keep holding your rage in, to the moment you realize your partner doesn't see you, not because they're blind, but because you're hiding. And if you're alcohol-free, single, married, or somewhere in between, this conversation is going to hit a nerve for sure. Because when you choose to stop numbing and start to live alcohol-free as fuck, your love life doesn't stay the same. It gets real. And the real you, terrifying, magnetic, and really worth seeing. So take a breath, striver. This one might be the one that changes everything. So without further ado, I'll shut the hell up, leave you in the capable hands of the beautiful, the majestic, the powerful, the wildly awesome Megan Thoma. Hello, hello, hello. Where are you living these days? Are you still in Dallas or did you move?
I'm in Denver, Colorado.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, Denver is home. My parents are here. My sister's here. So it's been really special to have us all in the same state, let alone same like city. So It's been really cool.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Yes.
Why did you choose to go into this style of coaching? Like you could have chosen anything. Why? What drew you to this?
To dating and relationships specifically?
Yeah.
Because I chose this because of my own path and healing journey. After my engagement ended, after I called it off in 2019, I had always grown up doing the work with my mom really kind of leading that in our family. But it wasn't until that happened that I dove deep into my healing process. And I was like, oh, there's so much that I don't know when it comes to being vulnerable and relationships and connection and how men think differently than we do, you know? So that's what fascinated me by doing that.
When you look back to that broken engagement, what were some of the things you weren't prepared for, do you think?
So my biggest what I noticed the most in that relationship is the way that I would withhold things. I would omit things for fear of his reaction, for fear of what he would think, because I hadn't reconciled things within myself. Like I was carrying a lot of shame around certain things. So I would withhold things, but yet I would get so mad at him for lying about things. And we were both doing the same thing. It just came out in different ways. Like I wasn't lying to him, but I would withhold things out of fear of really being seen, almost like being like found out. And I didn't have some like big, dark secrets, really. I mean, I'm sure we all have like secrets, but there wasn't like some big thing I was hiding, but it was little things, how I would like shame my body or, Yeah, stuff like that. It's just things I didn't want him to know about me, things that I judged about myself. I would omit them. So I wasn't prepared for deep intimacy that I think is required to have a long lasting relationship.
How would you describe intimacy? When you say deep intimacy, what does
Yeah.
that mean to you?
So I'm sure you've heard this term before, and I love it because it's so simple and easy to remember. But intimacy is into me, you see. So really letting someone see you, like the fullness of you, your full range of humanness, not just the sparkly, pretty, shiny things that make you so adorable, so likable, so attractive, like the things that you also judge about yourself, the things that you wouldn't want anyone else to know about you, like really letting someone see the full spectrum of who you are. I think it also gives them permission to be seen. Like, wow, she's not perfect. So that means I don't have to be perfect. So deep intimacy to me is like seeing into the full range and spectrum of the human in front of you.
There's somebody who I care for very deeply, and they're in their, I would say they're in their first major relationship,
Mhm.
and they've just got to the 7 month point, and my friend is like, what the fuck is happening? Like I had this partner and she was like this, and now it's all like this. And I was talking to him the other day and I said, it probably takes about that long for
Mhm.
you to actually see the other person warts and all, and them to see you warts and all. So it's a bit of an oxymoron, isn't it? Because when you get to like 7 8 months, the sunk cost fallacy starts to creep in, right? Like I've been with this person for 7 8 months, so I can't end the relationship. But I feel like that's the barometer. That's the point where you get to, and you're like, okay, I'm going to figure out if this relationship is going to work or not. What do you think about that?
I totally agree. I think in the first 6 months, even to a year, I think in a year, you're starting to really decide, like, is this someone I really want to do some life with? But the first 6 months to a year, it's like the honeymoon phase. Everything's fun and light, and this person walks on water. And I've never felt like this in my life. I'm so in love. And then the reality sets in like, oh, this is a flawed human just like me that I've signed up to date and do some life with. And we just, I tell women too and men, because I primarily work with women, but I do work with men as well, that when we get really excited about someone early on, their mantra, like the thing that I give them as the anchor to hold on to, is you can be excited. And I want you to remind yourself over and over and over again, you don't know him yet. You do not know this person yet. You cannot know someone. You can spend hours on the phone, texting all day, every day, go on like 5 days dates a week. You do not know this person until you really do some life with them, until you really experience some things with them. You see them under stress. You see them under pressure. You see them when things don't go their way. You see them with friends, with family, with coworkers, like seeing again the range of the human. So we have to be able to do some life together. And that can't happen in 3 months. It takes time.
What I thought of then is having kids. So like you have kids with someone and then all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, this is what they're like as a mom, or this is what they're like as a dad, and
Yeah.
they parent different to me. And then all your shit gets triggered, which would never have got triggered before because your 4 year old is being triggered because your kid is now 4 and you don't. So
Yeah.
it's almost like the relationship has seasons and you have to experience them all somehow before
Yeah.
you can then say, okay, what do we do? You also said like you need to know them,
Mhm.
but I guess you need to know yourself as well, and that's a big problem, right?
Yes, 100%. And I think so many women are trying to find themselves through another person because it feels so good to be validated. It feels so good for a man. I'll speak for myself. It feels so good for a man to be like, I see this in you and this in you and this in you. And you're just like, oh, I just melt because this man sees me. He gets me. He affirms me. But if we're looking for that always constantly outside of ourselves, then we are a slave to that thing. And it will fail us every time because we're outsourcing to someone who is a flawed human. We have to really be able to see and love. And if you can't love every part of yourself, can you accept certain parts of yourself? Like there's still parts of myself where I'm like, I don't know if I really love this about me. Really? Like if I'm being honest, it's hard to love that. But I accept that about me. And that's good enough in my book.
So yes, absolutely. I agree with that.
I remember when I first became what I call alcohol free as fuck. Some people call it
Mhm.
sober. We're the alcohol free as fuck people here on the
Love
pod.
it.
Um, I
Yes.
was 35, and I really, at that moment, I call it a midlife awakening, where it's almost like I was plucked from the matrix and I really didn't know who I was. And then this journey of getting to know me continued from that point. And then I got into a relationship very early, and I still hadn't figured my shit out. Right. So there'll be a lot of people listening to this who are also preparing to be alcohol free as fuck, or they're going through it and they're in relationships, or they're single and they're thinking about going into relationships. Can you give them some advice on how do you get to know yourself first before you can go into a relationship? And can you just skip it and go into a relationship? I know it didn't work for me, for sure. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, first, I just want to celebrate anyone who is in that phase of life or that they've come to that realization and that decision to live that lifestyle of just being alcohol free as fuck. Like, fuck yes. If that is your path and that's what you've signed up for and said yes to, fuck yes to that. And it's, I'm sure you talk about this plenty. Things are going to be different. Things are going to change. Life is not going to be the same because you're choosing an entire new way of being in the world. You're choosing an entire new lifestyle. Um, and so I would say for anyone in that position who's like, all right, I'm signing up for this way of being now. I'm choosing to do things and see things differently and choose a way of being in the world differently. That's going to touch everything. That's going to change everything. And it's probably, this is my assumption, I can imagine there's going to be some like trepidation or hesitation around getting out, especially into the dating world where a lot of people have social anxiety. A lot of people are nervous on first dates. And alcohol is typically a really socially acceptable way to soothe those nerves, right? And now when you take that off the table, it's like, oh God, I don't have that pacifier anymore. I don't have that thing that maybe makes me loosen up a little bit or not be so scared or nervous or anxious or rigid. So, one is like, be so gentle with yourself. Be so kind and compassionate and gentle with yourself, like you're stepping into a whole new lifestyle. It's like the image I have in my head is like a little baby giraffe. Like you're going to be wobbly a little bit at first, and that's okay. And as I said just a moment ago, most people are terrified in the early stages of dating. We're so scared. That's why we all wear these masks. That's why we order like 5 rounds of drinks. We are so scared. Is this person going to like me or not? Do I have like, food on my face? Did I say the wrong thing? Are they going to ask me out for a second date? We've been ghosted. We've been rejected. So there's all this fear already on dates. So I actually love the thought of someone being like, I'm not going to wear the mask of alcohol though. I might be nervous. I might fumble my words. I may say something stupid. I may not get asked out on a second date, but at least I'm not going to wear that mask of alcohol. So I just would want to celebrate the hell out of that to start. I would also say that so being gentle with yourself, knowing that you're not going to wear a mask, and taking some time, whether it is listening to podcasts, reading books, hiring a coach, joining a coaching program, speaking more openly with people you trust and care about. Start practicing being more vulnerable with people in your space, with people that you can trust. A lot of us are trying to like be more open and be more ourselves on a first date, and that's really hard and scary. So start practicing with people that you feel safe with. That's something I have all my clients do. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. The mask thing really spoke to me there, because if we, take my friend who's got to 7 months, I think we don't know we're wearing these masks a lot of the time. So self-awareness is really important. So it's really easy to get into a relationship with someone with a mask on,
Mhm.
and they love that mask, but then it becomes suffocating. Eventually you take it off, or it slips every now and then, and they don't like what's underneath. So it is like this piece about working on yourself first and understanding yourself. So it's almost like attachment style, right? Like I look at it like I need to work on myself, and be as secure as I can before I then go into a relationship. So at least I know where the hell I am, and I can navigate the trauma and the avoidant tendencies and the anxious tendencies and that kind of thing. How do you work with people who want to date or they want to get into relationships, but they've had a difficult past, like, like they fractured or they've broken up, or I'm no good at relationships. Like, how do you work with them in terms of them getting to know themselves a little bit better?
Yeah. So with one-on-one clients already, they're entering into a space with me that's different, right? Like you're a coach as well. When someone signs up with us, they're signing up for an experience unlike anything else. It's different that with friends, with family, like we are there to hold them to their highest and be able to sit with everything that comes up for them, all their shame, all their judgments, everything that they hate about themselves, all the funky and weird and wacky beliefs that they carry. And really help shift a lot of those paradigms. So my work is very much a blend of the practical and spiritual, if you will. I work with beliefs, mindset, and I also work with somatics, the body, because I think those two things have to be in alignment for real changes to occur. But the greatest news is, even if you've had every horrible relationship you can think of, and I think I've dated almost every version of man out there, a man that was like secretly gay, a man that was a pathological liar, a man that was like manipulative and just cheater. And it's like all these crazy, wild things. Like I've done it all. And that does not dictate my future. My past has nothing to do with what I ultimately get to experience in my life. So it's working with, a lot of it is forgiveness work, forgiving yourself for buying into the judgments and the beliefs that say that that's just who you are and relationships are going to suck for you. And sorry, out of all 8 billion people in the world, you're the one that doesn't get to have one. It's like, no, that's not true. No. So working with that. And then I'm actually about to release a brand new program called Seen, where I help people find, this one is just for women, where I help them find their own unique feminine expression in the world, like really what their signature of feminine looks like. Because, well, this could be a whole other conversation about masculine and feminine, but there's a lot of propaganda out there of like the feminine needs to look this way and the masculine needs to look this way. And not every woman is going to identify with a feminine looking a certain way, right? Like I see a woman who's like dancing naked under the moonlight doing a womb ceremony. And I'm like, looks really feminine, but that's not me. I'm never going to relate in that way. But that doesn't make me any less feminine than her. That's not my unique signature. So looking into your unique feminine expression, along with really being seen and held for who you are in your vulnerability, in your revealing, and in your unraveling. Yeah. So sorry, I went on a tangent there. Like,
It's
what did you ask
okay.
me originally? Yeah.
It's okay. And I want to go into the masculine feminine actually. I'll give you an example of my real life, and we can use it as a talking point. So I would say in our relationship, I'm the masculine. I hold the masculine pole, and my wife Liza holds the feminine pole. When we do that, things go pretty well. I would say our relationship is the best when it's masculine feminine. It's pretty good when it's feminine, and then it's really tricky when it's masculine.
Yeah.
And at the moment, we are both getting ready for a business trip. So Liza is in super masculine. Like if I go downstairs now, she's working. She's like got her head on. Her face is different. It's all serious. And I go down, and there's a little bit of boy energy. I'm a little bit nervous about the energy, and I'm worried I'm going to say something wrong. And so my work has been really, how do I manage my own shit and my own nervous system when she's in that space? And also, what can I do to nudge her out of that into the feminine type of thing? So I just want to talk about that a little bit, so we've asking you a question. How do you teach women, men as well, but I think it's mainly women. How do we teach women to find that feminine expression? Because I know there's a lot of women who find it really easy and natural, but there's also a lot that run away from it and are afraid of it for different reasons. So how do you help them?
Well, so much of it is understanding really what their feminine expression looks like. And this is, kind of to what we were talking about earlier a little bit too, of like really being seen for who you are. Some of my deepest work in uncovering what my feminine expression looks like was working with my exiled parts, the parts of myself that I judged, that I said were wrong, and fully taking them on in the privacy of my own home with embodiment work so that I could experience more of my range as a woman. So here's what I mean by that. We are taught that as women, you can be like a boss babe and you can be assertive, but don't be a bitch. Like, do not be a bitch. You can be sexy, of course, and like sultry and sensual, but don't be like a slutty, like girl. Ugh, nobody wants that. Or you can have like a deep longing and desire of your heart, but don't be needy. Don't be desperate. And I did this embodiment work around what would it look like for me to fully try on being needy and desperate and like slutty and like a raging bitch, like a crazy bitch? What would that look like if I just let myself have that expression? Oh my God, Lee, it was so freeing just to try those things on and be like, I'm okay. I didn't die. I'm allowed to like have this full range, again, this full spectrum of human emotion and experience, and that's okay. So much I think is disidentifying with the things we deem as feminine, like florals and dresses and long hair and pretty nails and perfect clothes and, just fully like radically expressed in our body, and you could like look beautiful naked. It's like, what if we just like disengage from all of that and actually found the parts of ourselves that we love and also the parts that we judge and let them fully come together in harmony? And it's like, that's who I am. This is my magnetic signature blueprint. I am all these things and I love every ounce of it. So
when you do that work, what changes? Like, how do you feel differently?
yes.
What is going on with the upgrade there?
I felt differently because I was no longer holding back parts of myself that I thought would be judged. It's almost like I fully let these parts of me come online, the parts that I didn't want men to see. Like, I don't want him to see my crazy. So I kind of, instead of men seeing my crazy, I was dating the crazy in men. And I remember one of our mentors, Preston Smile, said, the more you start accepting you're crazy, the less you'll stop trying to outsource it in all these men that are liars and cheaters and da 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 da. Because I have a pretty strong moral compass. Like, I'm not going to cheat. I'm not going to lie, whatever. But I'm not perfect, and I have my crazy. We all have our crazy. So it was this level of acceptance and integration and ownership of like, all parts of me are welcome. All parts of me can come online. All parts of me can be in a relationship with you. And I'm not going to disown parts of me, which means I'm going to speak up more, which means I'm going to let you in more, which means I'm going to be more open, which means I'm going to let you feel my heart more. Because if I'm having a moment where I feel really tender and I'm like, oh, I don't want him to see this, though. He's going to think I'm needy. He's going to think I'm too much. He's going to think I'm desperate. Well, I've already felt that part of me. I've already let that part of me really be expressed and felt in my own nervous system and know that I'm not crazy. So I'm going to bring more of the fullness of the woman to this relationship. That's how it really changed. It changed who I am, how I relate to myself, and how I relate to men that I was dating, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It actually made me think of my daughter. Like,
Mm.
so I've been up here working and trying to meditate, and every now and then I hear my daughter screaming at my wife, and we're not really well, she's not. I'm more likely to flip, but with all the work I've done, it doesn't happen that often. But it feels so natural for me if I hear Zia, she's nearly 9. When I hear Zia in her crazy, so when she is just like holding her ground and she's saying, "No, I'm not going to do it," but the way she's talking it's not like as eloquent as you would expect. It's not with so-called respect. She's just emitting what is natural to her as an 8 or 9-year-old.
Yes.
Like, as a parent, suddenly I'm like, oh, she can't speak to her like that, or like I need to save Liza, or I need to teach my daughter to speak differently because when we go out and she does that, people are going to think that I'm a bad dad and I'm going to lose the approval piece. And so when you were saying all that, I was thinking of Zia, but I was also thinking of you as a young girl,
Yeah.
and like how your parents and teachers, and because teachers play such a massive role in this,
Huge
how
role, yes.
they're talking to you and actually silencing those parts of you that you are now working to let loose, I guess, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. All the ways in which you were told, yeah, you're too loud, stop talking in class. That's what I got in teach. I talked all the time. They were like, Megan is the, mouth of the class, stop talking. So it's like, don't be too loud, don't be too much. Good girls are seen, not heard. All this social and historical programming that we have to unhook from. Because you're right. Even a woman being a bitch, or what we could say is, I'm very connected to my anger. I was so disconnected to my anger in relationships, and with our anger being directly correlated to our boundaries. And if I'm disconnected from anger, that means I'm disconnected from my boundaries completely. I'd let people walk all over me. And thinking about little girls and little boys growing up, when they're angry, they just unleash. They're just angry. It's a normal human emotion. There's no shame about it. They're just, huh. And over time, and as they grow up, they learn, oh, that's not okay. Oh, that's not socially acceptable. Oh, I can't have an outburst in the classroom. I can't have an outburst in church. I can't have an outburst here. So they suppress it and suppress it and suppress it, when really that's just a normal part of being a human. And there's ways to be with it in a healthy way where you're not just, unleashing on your partner, let's say. But if we're disconnected from our natural core humanness, our emotions, that's going to cause a lot of friction in relationship. That causes withholds and lying and resentment and you name it. So yeah, I love that you made that connection.
Let's go deeper with the anger, because
Yeah.
this was one of my Achilles heel. Is like, and my friend that I was talking to earlier on, who's got into this 7-month mark, what happens when anger is expressed? So the way I view anger, the way it was taught to me by Carla McLaren, who wrote the book Language of Emotions, you can discharge your anger honorably or dishonorably. Or you can even suppress it or repress it. But if you're letting it out, which is the best thing to do, you either want to do it honorably or dishonorably. So dishonorably would be, I'm just fucking shouting at you, right? Like no respect, whatever. And I'm just doing it all the time. You know what I mean? There's no kind of break. And I guess for me, when my nervous system is dysregulated and I go into sympathetic, I probably go into dishonorable anger release all the time. But what if that is continually met with the same? So what if you're in a relationship with someone, you're angry, they're angry, you're angry, they're angry? How do you get past that? Because this is the problem for my friend who's got to this 7 week. He's getting angry, she's getting angry, and they're just getting angry, and nothing's changing.
Nothing happens. So I love, like, when there's a pattern and we have the awareness, like, okay, shit, we're doing this thing over and over and over again. What I like to invite in is like, how can we play the game of opposites? How can we do something totally different here? And sometimes it takes just one person to do something differently to change the entire dynamic. So what I've learned with my own anger is my nervous system response is typically to go into fight and then flight. Like I'm fight, yell, get in the argument. And then I'm like, I'm out of here. And I'll almost do it like, and I'm not coming back, right? That's kind of like that dirty anger, dirty pain, not the cleanest way to do things. But when I'm triggered, that's what I've gone into before. I've grown a lot since then. But so my edge, my playing in the game of opposites would be to not leave. That's one way to do it. And something else to just try on is, a lot of times when we're angry, we start saying things that we regret later. We start saying things we don't mean. And a way to play with this, even though it might feel awkward at first, is to actually just emote with a sound. So if I'm getting mad at you and I really want to be like, you are being such an ass right now, instead of saying that, I might just look at you and go, ah, and just scream. Or like if we're sitting on the couch and we're arguing, I might just grab the pillow and scream into it, because it's just energy that needs an outlet. It's just a wave of emotion that needs to move. Normally we're moving and splattering it on the human in front of us instead of like just letting ourselves emote and express without the words that are so cutting to someone.
If me and you were in a relationship and
Mhm.
you're in your anger, what is it you need from me?
Well, if I could have my dream scenario and I was really angry, and this is hard, like this is hard work because normally when two people are triggering each other, it's hard for one person to hold it. But if I was really angry and was needing to be heard, that's what I would need for like the man to be sitting in front of me. Like the vision I have is a man sitting there kind of sitting with open palms on his knees and just be like, all right, I'm here to hold your wild. I'm here to hold your rage. I'm here to hold like I'm not taking it on and I've got some shit to say too. But right now you're in full expression. You're letting the wave of emotion move through you. I'm going to hold it. To me, that is like, holy shit, masculine strength, masculine pillar, that just grounded, like I fucking got you, get messy more please. That's like that might end up with something else happening at the end of that argument if that were to happen.
When I'm at my best and I'm attempting that, there's a part of me, like a little inner child part of me, that that worries that the other person will think I'm disingenuous or I'm like patronizing them because I'm like, okay, give me more. There, a metaphor I think of is a fire extinguisher. Like she's a fire extinguisher and it's just splattering all over me and I ain't saying shit until it's all gone. So it's all like spent, it's all the foams out. So like all like any give me more, give me more, give me more. That's all I got. You know that, but I do worry like this. But it's just a childlike part of me. Have you ever come across that before?
For me personally, like have I felt that?
Hmm.
I have felt my stuff has been more around I've been able to hold like my capacity to hold a man's anger has grown tremendously over the years. I used to not be able to hold it. My dad is a very loving man, but he would have these little anger bursts when I would grow up. Like I would drop something in the kitchen and he'd be like, "Hey, what happened?" And it made me just very like trepidatious and just it would really jar my nervous system. So when a man would pop and have a big outburst, even if it was done in a seemingly healthy way, it still was like anger is not safe. Anger is not safe in my household. So for me, I have ran into, okay, I'm growing my capacity to hold more of this wave of emotion that comes through someone. And for me, there have been times where I felt like I was abandoning myself a little bit, thinking, oh, I can hold this. I can hold this when really my nervous system was like, get the fuck out of here. This is not safe. This is not safe. This is not safe. And I've overridden that a few times, but I've gotten a lot better with it. But that's kind of what comes up for me if I'm in an argument with a man. It's like I still get to honor myself. If I really start to feel like this isn't safe for me to be here, and I'm playing with like, all right, what can I hold? What is my capacity to really hold it? So it's less patronizing for me and more, am I self-abandoning myself here or not? That's the question I have to sit with.
I like that. It's I think for me growing up, conflict or any form of relationship or conflict, it was always like I'll use the word mono, right? Do you know in IFS we talk about mono mind, like one mind, and then we in IFS it's like, well, we're not mono mind, we're parts and we are self. So there's more going on there. It's almost like that with conversations in relationships to me, particularly the difficult ones. I think I don't know what you think about this, but in my coaching, I like to tell people, hey, you start off having a conversation with somebody, a difficult conversation. There's a lot of anger or whatever, a lot of emotion, and it's not easy to have. And it might break up, or it might end up with someone throwing a shoe at you. It may end up with you both really going out of integrity and one of them stomping out. But I just see that as the start, right? Like, I think these things are messy. And with all the coaching that you do, to try to get it so it's not messy, I think it's a bit of a fool's gold, right? So
Yeah.
people have got to stick with it, right? Like they've got to be like, okay, I'm going to try my best today to be in my power, to have a regulated nervous system, to be really respectful, to stay in integrity. And then it doesn't happen. but don't give up, right? Go back when
Right.
your nervous system is settled and try again and
Yes.
again and again. If I was doing that in a relationship with you, what are you
Yeah.
thinking, feeling, Megan?
I will say that I believe we can be in this work for the rest of our lives and we're still going to get messy as fuck, 100%. To me, it's less about getting it right in the argument and making sure I don't project or say the, cunning thing or whatever. It's less about that. And it's more about how do we really repair? How do we really own and clean up our side of the street? I was just on a podcast with Preston and he said the number one thing that men talk about, and this has been going on for centuries, that's like men will talk and be like, yo, my girl is way better than your girl, is when they're like, yo, she apologizes. She can own her shit. And I'm like, I do that though. And so to me, I can raise my hand and say, I'm so proud of myself. Because I don't do everything right, not even close. But I will own my part and I will apologize. And if a man can do that too, we're good. We are good. I think that's what so many of us are needing in relationship is like, can you just own that hurt me? Even if that wasn't your intention, can you own how it impacted me and how my experience was affected? And for him to be like, yes, I can. And I'm sorry. We're good. We're good.
It's so powerful and at the same time so counterintuitive, right? It's like
Yeah.
when I'm with Zia will get really angry about something, and we'll have like a blow up, like both of our nervous systems are in sympathetic, and then when I choose the moment where I think we're both able to have access to self, I'll be like, okay, so I'm going to go first, and I'm going to own my part in this. And then let's
Yeah.
see if you can own your part in it. And it's really difficult because let's say I always use this example actually. Let's say I'm in a kitchen and Liza comes in and says, what the fuck is the state on that dishwasher?
Mm.
And I turn around and say, oh, fuck off, you bitch, or something. And we end up having a big fight. It's easy for me to go to my friends and say she started it because she was going on to me in a bad way about the dishwasher. But you just have to bite it, and you have to go back and say, hey, when you said what the fuck is going on with the dishwasher, and I turned around and said, fuck off, you bitch. I imagine that made you feel so angry,
Yeah.
So if everybody in the world owned it, like, dude, everything would be okay, right?
Probably
But it's
have
so
different
hard.
relationships. It is hard. It's hard because we're so self-righteous. And we tell ourselves, well, if she hadn't come in with that tone, if she hadn't have like been on my ass about the dishwasher, I wouldn't have called you XYZ. And it's like, we are all shitty humans and we are all amazing humans. And we all have our shit and we all have wonderful things about us. And we have to be willing to just own our part. We just have to.
Super powerful. Once upon a time, I was in a library. It was when I was married to my first wife. I was in the library and there was a book called Woman. I think it was by Natalie Angier. And the blurb was every man who's with a woman must read this book, right?
Mm.
And I read it. And it actually was more about the biology of women. It wasn't necessarily a lot about the psychology. But I've never seen one for men. I've never seen a book
Mm.
like for a woman. It's like every woman that's with a man needs to read this book. If you're in a relationship with a man and you're coaching women, what is it that they need to understand about men? Like
Oh my
how
God.
important is that part of the
There's
work?
so much. There's so much. So I don't know if you're familiar with Alison Armstrong. She
No.
wrote The Queen's Code and Keys to the Kingdom. She used to work with Tony Robbins. Love her work for this. I also really liked David Data Way of the Superior Man. I felt like that was my first real book into understanding the masculine, and my brain exploded of just learning about men and the way they think and the way they experience things. So I love teaching women about it. Even though I'm not a man, I will never understand what it really is like to be a man. I know enough to be dangerous. Like I know enough to be able to teach and talk about it because so many women come into my world and they're like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to meet my man. I'm ready for a partner. I'm ready to get married. I'm like, cool. Finish this sentence. Men are assholes. liars, cheaters. I'm like, great. So here's our work right here. And not all of them do that, but most of them do that. They want this creature to come into their life forever, but they're subconsciously holding all these judgments about them. And the biggest thing that women do that I've noticed, and this is what Alison Armstrong talks about, is that when a man does or doesn't do something or does something that disappoints us, like he doesn't call us back when he says he will, or he doesn't fix the dishwasher when he says he will, he doesn't take out the trash, he doesn't follow through, he doesn't plan the date, whatever it is, women automatically default. He must not love me. He must not care about me. He must not respect me. 3 things that they always immediately, those are the reasons why. So a lot of my teaching is around, what if you assumed differently? What if you assumed the best? Because every man has a king in him. And this is why I love this work, because it's so nuanced. It doesn't mean that we have the abusive boyfriend who is treating us like shit and we're just like, I'm going to see the good in him. We're not doing that either. This is the like middle space to play in, which is the most nuanced and the most fun. But a man typically is pretty single focused, right? We're very adaptable creatures as women. We can do a lot of things at the same time. Men are a bit more like, we're locked in. We're on a podcast right now. Like, that's what matters. This is where we're at. So learning that if a man didn't follow through on something, if he didn't complete something yet, it wasn't probably time sensitive. You didn't say it was time sensitive. You didn't say, please take out the trash by 2:00 today. You just say, take out the trash. Okay, I'll get to it. There's no urgency here. I'll get to it. And that it typically has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do about the love, the care, or the respect. Men are wired differently. And if we can start to just accept that and understand it more and learn about it, we would have an easier time in relationship with the very thing we say we want. So that and the subtle ways that we emasculate men because we've been hurt. So, and that even though there's a king in every man and that you all are powerful, strong, brilliant creatures, there's a little boy in all of you that gets hurt when we emasculate you. And we emasculate in the smallest ways by like rolling our eyes when you make a suggestion, not taking your advice seriously, looking at you and wondering like, why haven't you done this? Why have you done that? God, I'll just take care of it myself. It sounds crazy to say that, like, if I were to ask you, will you take out the trash, and you don't do it by the time and the way that I want you to do it, it's like, I'll just do it. That's actually emasculating. You don't trust that he's going to do what he says he's going to do. And I know I can hear the women now. Well, sometimes he doesn't do what he says he's going to do. Okay. But how many times are you overriding it because you're uncomfortable sitting in the thing that he hasn't done yet? And you could say that's kind of them going into their masculine. Like, I'll just take care of it. I don't trust him to lead. I don't trust that he's going to do it. So I'll just take care of it. I've had to take care of myself my whole life. I'll do it. And it erodes this polarity in your relationship because you're not letting him do the thing he loves to do, which is actually to take care of you, to protect and provide for you. The thing that makes him feel like a man. Like, we want to feel like a woman. I don't know about other women listening. I want to feel like a woman in a man's presence. Well, why wouldn't that be the exact same for a man? A man wants to feel like you're fucking superhero when he's around you, but we won't let him so much of the time. So it's not necessarily about surrendering or acquiescing. It's more about like, how can I let my partner feel like the man that he is and the man that he continues to step into being? And how can I feel more like my feminine? I just want to relax. I just want to feel taken care of. I just want to feel cherished and adored. But I'm getting in my own way because I'm making him wrong instead of really making him right and lifting him up in the ways that I see he is stepping up, in the ways that he is providing, in the way that he is cherishing. So yeah, I could talk about this for hours.
It's great because it's for me as a man listening to that, the word that came off of me was curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to be in a relationship with someone who's curious. So like the other day, I had to drive somewhere to pick Liza up. It was really late at night, and there was the train station in Cardiff is right next to the Principality Stadium, and 60,000 people were coming out of there in a concert at the same time she was arriving on the train. So I chucked my daughter in a car, but we could only go so far. And I was worried I couldn't go any further. I didn't want to lose my spot, because if I lost my spot, then I would lose her, and she's wandering around. I wouldn't know where she was. But she wanted me to be in a different place. And so she was really angry that I didn't recognize that she was unsafe and I didn't go to her place. Yet for me, I thought the safest thing for her was to stay where I was. So it was just actually, she's like, he doesn't care about my safety. And I'm like, I'm 100% caring about your safety. That's why I'm staying where I am, because I've made a judgment call, which is different to yours. And for me, I'm like, if there's just a little bit of curiosity, it's like, hey, why didn't you move? Yes. And the explanation. But at the same time, the work for the man is to be like, okay, what's going on here for the woman? Right. She feels really unsafe. And if she feels really unsafe, she's going to, in this case, she's going to get very angry. Mm-hmm. And that is okay as well, right?
Yes. Right.
Yeah. You know, super complicated. But those eye rolls, ladies, the eye rolls I mean, men do it as well, right? It's like, it's like your part scoring points, right? It's like,
yeah,
I'm going to get this fucker. I know what makes him tick.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess that leads me to like this point of being seen. You know, it's like in your messiness as you are, what are you finding is so difficult for people that you come across and you work with and yourself, maybe, you know? Yeah. What is it? What are the things that make it so difficult? Is it trust? Is it safety? What is it for you, do you think?
Trust, love, and safety, I would say, kind of all wrapped up with a bow on top. So the whole program was actually inspired by a married client of mine who was breaking down on a call with me, just in tears. And she said to me, I just wish my husband would see me for who I really am. Like, I really wish he could just see me. And I said, yes. And has he seen this? Has he seen this breaking down, messy tears? And she was like, no, I don't trust him. And I was like, aha, this is it. This is the thing right here. Like, the problem is actually the solution. The very thing you don't want him to see is the thing that will get him to see you. So again, it's, I think people have different fears underneath it. I think it ultimately comes down to safety and love. Like, I won't be loved. I will be abandoned. I won't be chosen. He's going to end it. He's going to judge me, and then fill in the blank. So I get that. And I know for myself, I know I've had moments where I've really let people in and it was not met with much love and acceptance. So you want to talk about, all right, so I did the thing, I opened up, and it didn't go well. So now I'm closed for the rest of my life. That's what a lot of people do. And I hear men do that a lot. Men have told me that, like, I finally opened up in this relationship with this woman and she still broke up with me. So fuck it. I'm never doing it again. And I was like, yep, I hear you. And it makes so much sense. And that's not the solution. Not if you want real long-lasting partnership, in my opinion. I say long-lasting. You could be in a relationship for the rest of your life and never be open, and you will have a surface level roommate relationship. If you want that, absolutely, you can have that. But if you want long-lasting and intimacy, where like you are best friends, sex is off the charts, life is better together than it is apart, you're going to have to let that person in. You are. And you want to see them too. You know, like, yes, we all want to be seen. I don't know about you, Lee, but like with your wife, I'm sure you're like, I want to know all parts of her. I want to know everything about this woman that I've chosen to sign up and do this life with. Like, this is my human that I chose to be with. And I want to spend the rest of my life still like uncovering who she is. Because my mentor said this before. He's like, the moment I know my wife, our relationship's over. Because there's nothing left to discover. There's no mystery. There's no passion. There's no curiosity. And thank God, she is always evolving, always growing. She's like different iterations. There's some other quote that I love too. It's like the man who's like, I married one woman, but fell in love with like 20 different people because we always have different iterations and different versions of us coming out. So it's scary because unless we feel like we've built enough trust with someone, we're like, ooh, I don't want you to see this yet. And there is some truth in having someone really earn your vulnerability and earn your story. But I'm sort of the mindset of someone that really kept her cards close to her chest for so many years. I've done a little bit of the pendulum swing, where I'm just a bit more ruthless in this area. It's sort of like, what's that term when teenagers, like they don't that invincibility complex. Like, I'm not scared to die. I would rather someone see more of who I am, see the truth of my heart, see the places I still carry judgment or the things in my past that I carry shame about. I'd rather them see them sooner, because that way they're not falling in love with the mask. They're falling in love with the real me, or they're like, okay, that's not for me. Because as we were talking about earlier with the mask, so many of us, our mask falls in love with their mask, and then the mask falls off and we're like, well, who the fuck is this person? You're not doing the thing you used to always do. You're not affirming me and blowing smoke up my ass and, being so cool when I do X, Y, and Z. Like, you have a problem with it now? What happened? Like, we would waste so much less time if we just were more who we were from the beginning. And that helps us so much in the vetting process of dating. I have wasted so much time performing and pretending to be more of something that I'm not, or less of something that I'm not, in order to be in a relationship. And then it's like, well, shit, I just wasted 6 months performing to find out. I could have found out within the first 3 dates. This probably wasn't in alignment. So I'm in the business now of I'm not wasting time anymore.
Yeah, I think this is where it goes back to doing the work on yourself, right?
Yes.
Because if you are more attuned to self and you're more attuned to your parts, and you know what triggers you, you've done some work, you understand your trauma, a lot of it, then when you go into a relationship, you can be more vulnerable because you kind of know what's there, right? There's not a lot of surprises that are gonna. I imagine a lot of people are worried that some shit's gonna come up that they don't even know or they can't control. But the more work you do and you go in, and this relates to then what you were saying about, when we really see a woman and you're kind of figuring out everything about them, you can't do that. I don't think if you are focused on your own shit all the time, and you're trying to be right and you're trying to protect and defend. How on earth can you witness another person being in their terror because you're terrified of it? Really, if someone starts screaming and shouting at you and you're like, don't fucking shout at me. I mean, they're just going to be like, what are we going to do in this relationship? One thing I notice a lot in my work is a man and a woman in a relationship. Woman stops drinking, guy doesn't stop drinking. Mm-hmm. Classic. Guy's mask stays on, woman's mask comes off. Woman sees guy as he really is, and it's like, well, not as he really is. Woman sees the guy who's completely in his ego and his parts and his little boy energy, and she's like, what the fuck? And she can't get him to see her. And now she's blossoming, she's growing, she's developing, but he's still the same. And they can't get out of the relationship. How you've probably had this question a million times before. How do you know when to leave versus staying in there and doing the work? What do you have a rule around it? What would you say?
My rule typically around something like that is a lot of people just get so fed up and then they're out. They're like, all right, I've hit my threshold. This is my capacity. I'm out of here. Fuck this. I'm done. And they're leaving from a place of so much anger and resentment and so much frustration. This is really hard work, but what I've always taught is I would rather you go and play full out, go all into the place where, okay, I have given this my everything. I have chosen to see the good in him. I have accepted these things about him. I have been patient with him. I and I am voicing what I need. I'm not dumbing that down, because a lot of resentment, the first thing that we want to look at is, where have you self-abandoned yourself? You haven't said something, you've withheld something, you've omitted something. So I typically coach that to say, play full out, go all in, say for 3 months. Be the version of you that you like fantasize about when you're like, all right, when I get out of this relationship, I'm going to be dating like this, and it's going to be so much fun, and I'm going to dress like this and act like this and be this woman. Be that woman now and see what happens. And if still nothing changes, like absolutely nothing changes, then say, okay, I can walk away now knowing I played full out. I left everything on the table. That's what I typically say to that.
I like that. I guess as well, in these type of relationships, I guess they're withholding as well, right? I imagine in a lot of them, the guy's like just some, you know, just you're like some servant to this guy, but you're not really say what you're not like, hey, you fat fucking slob, get your fucking ass off the chair and show me some love and attention instead of showing it to the beer, or you can fuck off. Like, they're not saying that.
Right.
So the guy's just like, well, I just can't do what I'm doing and hiding in this space.
Yes. People will keep being exactly what you tolerate. Exactly. And it's not about threatening the relationship necessarily, but it is like, if that was the scenario, it could be like, if she's always been passive about it and not said anything about it and just swallowed whatever she's thinking, for her to be like, sit down on the couch and be like, hey, this doesn't fucking work for me. I am feeling really disconnected. I am feeling really not heard and seen. I need XYZ from you. I need more closeness. I need more time together. This is not working for me. Something has to change. Can we talk about this? Like a come to Jesus moment, or many come to Jesus moments. And again, if you keep speaking up, if you keep playing full out and nothing is changing, then you can know, I did everything. I laid it all out there. I've done everything that I can do. This isn't changing, and I'm going to choose myself and exit. Yeah.
We've both been in relationships where we've tried our very best, and it isn't working, but we've both found it really difficult to leave.
So hard.
What are some of the things that made it really sticky for you, and how did you get over them?
God, that was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. And that sounds really, I don't know how that sounds. And all of our trauma and stuff is, it's all relative, but I'm sure people have gone through much harder things than that. For me, that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, was call off my engagement. For me, it was so hard because I had built up this fantasy of what my life was going to be with this person. I had the house immediately. I had the income immediate. It's like everything was so easy and taken care of. Like, he had this job and we were going to have babies and this incredible wedding. I had a $10,000 wedding dress. I had a $60,000 ring on my finger. Like, it was just like, whoa, fairy tale land. I am the princess. And I learned actually from my first coach, there were so many things in that relationship that I got. There's a lot of painful things in that relationship, but the good parts of that relationship were things that I got from him that I hadn't really gotten from my dad or my mom. And so leaving him was like a little girl walking away from her dad, the dad that she always wanted. And that, when I connected those dots, I was just like, oh my God, no wonder this is like life or death in my nervous system. This literally, there's a little girl in me screaming and kicking like, no, don't you dare make me leave him. This is everything I've always wanted. So it was hard to have to really be the adult and say, I'm walking away from this little girl fantasy that thinks this is everything she's ever dreamed of. And it's the princess and the prince. And I'm choosing myself, because ultimately I know deep down, this is not a healthy space for me to be in. I don't want to be a little girl in a relationship. I don't want to be a little princess. I want to be an adult sovereign woman. I want to be the queen, right? With her king. So I had to unhook from all of that programming that I received as a little girl of like, I'm going to be rescued and I'm going to be saved and everything's taken care of and paid for. And it's all going to be easy, smooth sailing now. I don't have to hustle. I don't have to struggle. I don't have to like make my own income or anything. I can just do whatever I want. I had to unhook from all of that and say, what does Megan ultimately choose for the rest of her life? Does she want to abandon herself in this new way? Where, yeah, she may get the house and the money and the this, but is dying inside in the relationship? Or does she choose herself and know without a shadow of a doubt, she gets to have both in a relationship one day? And he doesn't have to be a gazillionaire for me to be happy. Like, absolutely not. But it's like, I get to have a man who is a provider, who wants to take care of himself and me and our family and respects me, loves me, cares about me, where it's not an unhealthy dynamic.
Thank you for that. And
Yeah.
there's there's a lot of people listening to this and they think relationships ending is heartbreak, pain, anxiety, overwhelm, blah, 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 blah. But it's not all like that, is it? There's that there for sure, but there's also liberation, freedom,
Yes.
your anxiety lessening, happiness, joy. Like, so I guess what I'm saying is finding out that there's a little girl in a relationship there or a little boy in a relationship. Like for me, this terrifying, but there's also a journey that you're about to go on that you don't know yet, which is really fulfilling and really enriching and really growth orientated and transformative. And you're not going to see it if you stay where you are, right? Like there's the work, I guess, is everything. It's like you said earlier on, you want to feel a full range of yourself as a woman.
Yes.
That's what it's about. So filling the full range of a woman or a man, like ending and going through the breakup of a relationship is like kind of part of that. And there are like 3.5 to 4 billion of the opposite sex. Like, you'll be all right. You'll land on your feet.
Yes, there's more people out there for sure. Yes. I remember one of my first coaches said to me, and I didn't understand it until probably a year or two later, but he said, there's so much joy in grief. And I was like, what are you talking about? Grief we all are avoiding grief. We don't want grief. I don't want this relationship to end and feel the heartbreak and all of that. And heartbreak is so big because a part of us has like outsourced our worthiness, our love, our safety with this other person. So when they leave, we think our love and our safety leaves with them, but it's so not true. And with grief, there's something new that wants to come in. There's a new version of you that wants to be expressed, that wants to come out. So I wouldn't even know you. I wouldn't even be sitting here doing this, having my own business on podcasts if I hadn't gone through that and ended that relationship. There was a new iteration of myself, a new life, a new way of being that was calling me forward. Same with your people who have chosen to live how do you say it again? A fucking,
alcohol
what is it?
Free as fuck.
An alcohol-free as fuck lifestyle. Like there is a whole life, a new way of living and being that is nudging you and pulling you forward into probably some of the best experiences you've ever had that you didn't even know was possible. That's what it's been like for me, at least. It's like I had to let go of the thing that gave me what I thought was love and safety and comfortability to really step into greatness.
Love that. Tell the people at home about Scene. How could they find you, learn about it?
Yeah. So I primarily, I would say, hang out on Instagram. So it's at Megan_Thoma, Thoma. You can always DM me. I do not have robots or people representing me. It is me, and I will talk to you. If you're curious about my work, just send me a DM and we can chat.
Yeah. And for those of you listening, Megan has coached me many times for many hours, and she is excellent. She really knows what she's talking about. So check her out. Megan, thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Lee. This is great.